So I'm at the top end of Fargate looking down. On the left hand side it's going to be grey to green. You've seen my video on it, and on the right hand side it'll be a cycle lane. So more than 50% of this thoroughway down here will disappear to pedestrian traffic. Now they're talking, well they're not talking, they're doing it. They're spending £21 million on a Connect Sheffield, and it's going to include Pinstone Street, it's going to include Surrey Street, it's going to include Charles Street, and it will probably hit Arundel Gate as well. I don't think they're putting cycle lanes down Arundel Gate anymore. And I'll put all that information in the description. It's so important to actually look at that information, but like Miss Avisham says, they don't give us a full picture, they're just telling us a little bit at a time. But what they're doing is they're destroying Sheffield, they're killing it off bit by bit. It's not our Sheffield anymore. I think I can speak for the majority of born and bred Sheffielders when I say that. I was born in 1964 at Nether Edge. My family go back 200 years in Sheffield, so I think I probably speak for the majority of born and bred Sheffielders. But we are on what I call Tiananmen Square outside the town hall, and it's quite apt really because of the links between Sheffield City Council and Communist China. So this is Leopold Street down here, Pinstone Street down here, and what they did in lockdown without any consultation, they locked it down, shut this road down. It was a bus route through, and they had no consultation after. They've just gone ahead with it. I've not seen any consultation on any of this. Certainly at Walkley, I think 70% of people objected to the low traffic measures around there, but they carried on with them anyway. So the cycle lane's coming up there. Down there on Surrey Street, I think they're going to probably get rid of the car traffic on there and make that more cycle lanes. But it's very difficult to understand what's a cycle lane nowadays because they're not generic, but definitely Surrey Street's going to end up with a cycle lane down there, so I believe that you'll not be able to get your car up and down there anymore. It'll just be foot traffic. What I can't understand is, if we got these new green buses, why weren't we running the new green buses from the bottom of Haymarket to the bottom of the moor, through the spine of Sheffield, straight up here and down Pinstone Street? That would have got things buzzing a little bit for all the people that aren't as able to walk. But this is all geared up for the university and for the middle class who live and work in Sheffield, not for the majority of born and bred Sheffielders who don't come anywhere near Sheffield anymore. So just here on the corner is Barclays Bank. Now they're downgrading, it's not going to shut completely. This branch will shut, but they'll move further along to where Radisson Blue is, where the old Maplin's electronic place was. But now we're on Pinstone Street and you can start to see the work going ahead. Somewhere down the middle of here there'll be a cycle lane. But just before lockdown you could get a bus here, and born and bred Sheffielders remember this fantastic bus shelter we originally had down here with ivy on it, and then they put these horrible modern bus shelters. Well, they've just been ripped out in the last 6 months. So the cycle lane's coming down here, probably down the centre, just here. I think this is where the Maplin's was-ish, and this is where Barclays will move to. So the cycle lane's sort of coming straight down the middle of here. I don't think I've seen a cyclist in Sheffield today. I think there's a few cycles down there, but it's rare I see them, and this is a really nice, clear sunny day. But here, where you see the Peace Gardens, they keep talking about grey to green, but there's actually less green here now than there was in the 1990s, because originally this was a lovely green geometric garden with lovely flower beds, and I just think it's an awful concrete place now. And people say, well, it ain't concrete, it's stone. Well, I'm not bothered, it just looks to me quite awful. But this was the boundary of the original Peace Gardens. The green came up to here, and then it went right up to St Paul's Parade down there, so it was a massive chunk of green. And then we had the egg box at the back of the Peace Gardens. I might as well just show you the Peace Gardens today. They have got the actual fountain on. So the back of here, there used to be the egg box. And actually on top of the old egg box, there was actually a green garden on top of there. And there was also green along Arundel Gate as well, like where the wedding cake was. But this is all the green there is now. It's not even a third of the green even in the Peace Gardens to what we once had. It's just, like I said, when I call it a concrete jungle, people say it's stone, but I'm not bothered whether it's stone or concrete. But we had lovely geometric flower beds. So just imagine I was stood in a green oasis, and when they talk about the greater green, it's a bit like war equals peace. So we'll just carry on down Pinstone Street. So the cycle lane's coming straight down the centre here. But the more they pedestrianise, the more they push people out. If you go to Leeds and Manchester, their city centre's absolutely thriving. But we've had disruption on Fargate now for a couple of years. Costs have gone up from about 17 to 34 million. And that was last year, so it could have increased even more since. But when they actually did Fargate back in the 90s, when they put the cobbles in, I only remember it being done over a summer period and Italian pavers coming in and doing it. I bet it didn't cost a fraction of the cost. So we've got Charles Street here. So this will be pedestrianised. Sorry, it'll be pedestrianised, but also cycle lane up here, all for the university, etc. But you can see the disruption coming again already. It's like the disruption that we've seen on Fargate's now extending onto here. So how long's the disruption going to be down here now? So I don't know if the cycle lane, well, I don't think the cycle lane will go up there because they've already put down brand new paving. But it's certainly coming down here. And the question is, they do everything a little bit at a time and then tell us a bit later what's coming next. Well, to me, will there be a cry out next to put cycle lanes down the middle of the moor? Or is that already planned to happen? But to me, the buses should have been right down the spine of Sheffield. They're going round the outside. I've been on them, and you don't know where they stop and pick up. Pretty much a joke, to tell you the truth. Like I said, you can see already, it's probably ending up being a cycle lane, and it'll be grey to green. So what they're doing is it's contracting the footfall. It makes it look busier. But like I said, look at the information in the description, but just also recognise that they don't give you a full picture. They just tell you what they want to tell you. So just here, was a mid-city house, an awful 1960s building, but the one before it were beautiful that they knocked down in the 60s. So they're talking about a 25-storey tower block just here, but for the time being, I think they'll be bringing in the temporary type buildings as a food outlet here, like they had at the top of Fargate. That big disaster, but I think it'll be a private company. So we've got Debenhams here. That's had the lease bought out by somebody for the next 40 years. So something may happen in Debenhams, but to me, rather than lose Marks and Spencer's, it'd be better if Debenhams actually moved. Rather than lose Marks and Spencer, it'd be better if Marks and Spencer's moved here, because at least they will be with the rest of the shops, because it's really a contracted shopping centre in Sheffield now. All you've really got is the moor. And last week when I came, it really hit home that Sheffield is just bread and circus now, and it's just about eating and drinking. It's not our city centre that we all love, with so many different attractions. So that's the top of the moor. This was the Moorhead. Moorhead was a beautiful place with beautiful old buildings that they knocked down in the 1960s again. We've got the headquarters of HSBC. It's about a quarter size of Pinstone St I worked at for 15 years, from 1985 to 2000. Now, just before I left, I was offered a job in the internet department. I'm way ahead of the curve. I'm not some sort of Luddite, I can tell you that. And I'm happy for you to knock all the old buildings down if you built something better in its place that looked better and felt better and lifted the vibes. But I'm not seeing anything better. I'm not, since the 1940s or even before that, we can't seem to build anything decent anymore. So just imagine more greater green, more cycle lanes down here, right down this spine. So it's just cutting down the footfall. Big opportunity lost that we could have driven buses right down the spine of Sheffield, and we'll not have the opportunity, but that's not what they want. This is all about Agenda 2030. It's all about the World Economic Forum who drive us, not our government. And you heard Starmer say it when it was in election period, what would you prefer, Westminster or the World Economic Forum? He said the World Economic Forum. So they're just pushing their globalist agenda on us, and they want us to be nice little citizens doing what they please, and it's just more and more becoming like communist China. So that's just a quick update from Sheffield City Centre. I think we should rename it because it's not Sheffield anymore.